Good morning. It is Monday, April the 21st, 2025. We hope everyone had a wonderful Easter weekend. Also, last week we had, at least in Charleston County, we had spring break. All right, so my wife and I, we took the kids for a few days up to the mountains, which was really fun. Did some hiking, just enjoyed some really nice weather. My one son, who's actually turning 4 today, happy birthday, Nash. So my older of my two boys, turning 4 today. We were in a fun little wrestling match, and I took a nice elbow to the eye. I was a little concerned I'd be doing this Monday video here with a black eye this morning, but happy birthday. All right, looking at markets last week, obviously the ongoing kind of tariff debate, trade war, whatever you want to call it. And then in addition to that, kind of over the weekend, more so this is making headlines, but just President Trump not being exactly thrilled with the work Fed Chair Powell and the committee on their end with interest rates. Right? And now, if you're willing to take a step back and just kind of remove any political bias, any blinders you might have, it's easy to see both sides of this kind of debate. President Trump's perspective, we've been over this, right? So as they're trying to implement these, America First policies with these tariffs and things, there's going to be short-term pain, which is why the market's already discounted, earnings to be lower and so forth. And so therefore, the president and the administration saying, hey, Fed Chair, Federal Reserve, let's start cutting interest rates. Interest rates are still pretty elevated, relatively speaking, right? So let's start cutting interest rates to help stimulate and help us get through kind of this more difficult period, right? And then on the Fed side, they have what's called a dual mandate, right? So what they're supposed to do is ensure inflation remains in check and the employment picture is okay, right? So as it stands today, the employment has been very, very strong, okay? And inflation is slightly above their so-called target, okay? So from the Fed's perspective, they're saying, well, employment looks good, inflation's still a little bit higher. We understand there's some tariffs and things going on over here, which can be inflationary. And so given the employment picture still looks good, we want to kind of, his language, Fed Chair Powell, is kind of a wait and see approach. All right, so you can see both sides of it. We'll see the way it plays out. Personally, I think it's important that Fed independence. I think it's a nice kind of check of balance and power. For both sides of the political aisle. That's just me personally. I like that Fed independence. So we'll see what comes of that. But just something to keep an eye on in the weeks ahead here. All right. So kind of on that, we also had coming out last week. Yes, some new export restrictions on semiconductors in the U.S. So that's going to be the biggest. The company that's going to hurt the most is NVIDIA, right? So you saw them just kind of continue to struggle last week. U.S. equities modestly lower last week. In a balanced portfolio, you actually did quite fine last week, though, with international equities performing quite well. Bonds had a good week with the 10-year Treasury coming back to about 4.3%, which that was a healthy move. One thing we hadn't talked about at all much recently is gold, which gold did nothing for 10 years. 10 years from I think it was it peaked in 2011. Basically did nothing for over a decade. It just went it was down and then got back to even right around 2022, I want to say. But gold's had a really strong year, and that's largely just off of the U.S. dollar becoming a touch weaker in recent quarters. So another something to keep an eye on. Economic data in the week ahead. We have some manufacturing data, the PMI, and also some new home sales. So we will discuss those next week's video, as well as any other headlines that happen to come out. So questions, comments, concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team, and we hope you have a wonderful week. Thanks.